Hope you're doing super well and everyone's staying safe. Hopefully everyone got the vaccine or is getting the vaccine. That would be good. Clutch. In other news, we got a Friday release this week, which is pretty crazy and special. And I presume with all the promos that you guys have been seeing that this podcast is none other than with the Silicon Valley's and the South Bay's finest, one of the South Bay's finest rappers, CoMo, also known as Amogh Changavi, also known as my brother. And before I forget, the essential question for this episode is, so brown rappers exist? I talked to my brother about all things rap and music creation. We also talk about how he got his start in music and why he chose the rap genre in general. We also talk about all of his past projects, including the 2 EPs he released during lockdown, which is actually a year ago today, crazy stuff, titled Quarantine and Chill and Quarantine and Rage, as well as the new album that he just dropped yesterday, titled Going Nowhere Fast. Also, I'm going to go ahead and link all of Amogh's social media down below, so feel free to go check him out there. Also linking his Spotify, so you guys can make sure to go stream Quarantine and Chill, Quarantine and Rage, as well as the new album Going Nowhere Fast. All 3 are available on all streaming platforms, so go check those out when you guys can. We also talk about, back to what we were talking about, we also talk about his theories about why Drake is beloved by brown boys, amongst other rap-related things, including what our Rushmores are, our greatest rappers of all time, in our opinions. Also, if you actually care about me outside the podcast, you may get a little insight into who I am outside of the podcast, and may get a little something about how I'm super good at basketball and how I am the ultimate champion. And my brother will lose to me in one-on-one every time. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this interview between me and my brother, the rapper, 408 CoMo. And so, without further ado, I'm going to cue it up. As I was editing this right now, I just totally forgot and actually wanted to show you guys, before we started the podcast, a little sample of CoMo's music or my brother. So I'm going to cue that up right now, and then we'll get into the podcast after. All right.
Top like a Lego. Only time you see me when your eyes closed. Nigga know you bounce on the flag on. School with the shit, check the pylon. Thumbing through these joints, I'll be seeing lots of losses and lessons. Do it all, still be the freshest. Ay, don't wear your guesses. Gonna be the hottest in any of your sections. Leftovers from the fridge on reheat. When I take your breath, shit that happens when you try to see me. Run it up and tell you to come see these nuts. Pause. Push a Lamborghini trucks on the highway when life comes my way. About to be a party. Go ahead and parlay all the shit that I say. Dishing up these beats saute. Go.
You live from our parents' house. See what I did there?
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Coming to you live from our parents' house. We got episode 16 of the Essential Question podcast. And now, guess who my guest is today? It's none other than the next brown rapper himself, a.k.a. my brother, 408 CoMo, or as most of you know him as, Amogh Changavi. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I would like to say that was like a good 7.5 out of 10 on the intro. I've heard some pretty good intros. It was pretty good. I'll give it 2, but it's could be a little better. Could use more embellishing if you may.
What? So stroke your ego?
Yeah.
Oh, he's the next big thing. Okay.
You got to do all that.
All right. Well, are you doing good? Are you alive?
Yeah, alive. Clinging on to life. All those things. Making it happen out here.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So why don't you go ahead and tell the people why you're here? Besides the fact that you are my brother, why do you think you are deserving and worthy to be on the podcast?
I'm here with nepotism. I am here, I guess. Well, yeah, mainly because I am your brother, and I am very honored to be here. All jokes aside, this is great stuff that you're doing here. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm kind of doing this whole rapping thing and putting out some music, and yeah, I mean, it's been an eventful couple of years in that journey, and I think that kind of is what your essential question is. I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling it's something to do with that. So yeah.
So without further ado, let me present to you the essential question for the day, and that is: so brown rappers exist? Try to go
They
try to go
I
for a
guess
little.
they do. I guess they do a little
All right,
bit.
podcast over. Bye. Um, but yeah, so that's basically what we're gonna be digging into. Tried to go for a little humorous theme today. You know what I mean? Try to make things a little funny, spice it up. But as Amogh knows, we're gonna have to put him through a rapid fire test before we get into the real stuff. So let's see. And since the fact that we are brothers, we do tend to know each other kind of okayly well. So I decided to do a segment called "Who Had / Can / Is." So whatever you make of that, we will be doing. Um, so the first question. So basically, it's like who is blah blah blah, or who had blah blah blah, or who can blah blah blah.
Okay.
That makes any sense. But you'll get the hang of it as I say the first thing.
Okay.
So, question number one: who slacks off more between us two?
I would say me. I would definitely say me. I think when you put your mind to something and you want to get it done, you tend to give yourself no breaks and no room for any type of extracurriculars. Whereas I definitely justify that within myself mentally after 20 minutes of hard work and think I've accomplished the most that anyone has ever accomplished in 20 minutes and can give myself an hour break. So yeah, still working on that, but I would definitely say you for sure. I mean, I would say me. So you definitely don't slack off
Um,
as much.
I don't know. I think I've gotten worse over time. As I've stopped giving less and less of a crap about school, but that's besides the point.
Depends on what it is. So
That's true, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I can get into grind mode if I want to. All right. Yeah, I really have nothing more to say. I actually didn't know the answer to that. I thought it could go either way, honestly. Um,
yeah.
but who can win one-on-one in basketball?
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? We put that to the test like millions of times. So
Dude,
I mean,
you didn't see me, okay? Peak senior year, when I was at my form, when I was playing pickup 5 times a week. Oh, my game was on point.
yeah,
Okay.
I also saw your jump shot during quarantine, and that
Dude,
was
I
not
hadn't
a
played
sight to see.
basketball in like 5 months. What do you
If you're a
expect?
hooper, you don't lose your jumper. Come
You
on.
are you lost your jumper. It's gone.
Nah, it's
Yeah.
still there, dude. I
What
got the
you think you
fundamentals.
could still play?
Oh hell yeah! I just need a little tweaking, sit up at the top of the key, like stroke a little bit,
No,
get
that's a
back into the
BS.
paint, just post up, just bah, bah.
Dude, I'm like your ideal NBA fit. I can shoot the three. I can drive. I can I can play defense. Like I can do it all. Like I'm lanky. I don't understand. Like you can't be.
You're like the biggest waste of height when it comes to sports.
Wow. Wow.
For
People
sure.
my friends say I have natural arm strength when I play quarterback on flag football teams. I do. I could throw the ball hella well.
Oh my god. I mean, you could throw a ball. I don't know if it would be in a spiral or not.
Dude, I had an arm, okay? The flag football intramural tournaments, this kid used to be like the star quarterback right here.
I
Yeah.
don't know about all that.
Yeah.
I'd have to see it in action when the
And in
lights are on.
basketball, are you kidding me? In basketball, I'm so good. When you like, I bet I could beat you 1-on-1, but if I had 2-on-2 with like a decent point guard, I'd be
Dude,
dominating you.
you could not beat me one on one. Let's get that out of the way. There's no
Uh,
room for any other outcome there. So
this is not true.
it's
Okay.
okay. We can do
Okay,
that
fine.
as like a
Yeah.
afterthoughts for your
All right.
podcast.
This
and shoot a
podcast, if
one-on-one.
this podcast gets 1,000 views, we'll play 1-on-1 and record it for the people to see and
I think you
see.
may lose half your viewership because they'd just be
Ha
so
ha ha ha
disappointed.
ha.
in
So
that.
funny. Ha ha ha. Okay. Anyway, question number 3. This one might have a little bit of a divisive thing to it. Who is the bigger 49ers and Warriors fan?
Uh, yeah, that's a tough one. I think we both show it in different ways. Like especially, I think we show it the most, unfortunately, when things go south with both franchises. Like the passion comes out the most in those cases. I definitely am more like let it sit and bubble underneath the surface until I just kind of like explode with it sometimes and just give the wildest takes.
Yeah,
And you
absolutely.
just yeah, and you will definitely just every single occurrence will be like a new episode with you kind of thing. And
Yeah, dude, you texted me on Friday, fire Steve Kerr. Like,
I firmly believe that. That's one of those where I've been kind of letting that sit
okay,
letting it simmer for a little bit, and then I've kind of thought about it, and I think that's the way to go. I really do.
okay.
It's not working out anymore. I don't see it.
I don't know. I would say I don't know. I think you're more invested in the Warriors than I am, just because you love Curry with like a burning passion. By the way, it is his birthday today, so happy birthday.
Oh yeah,
Um,
shout out the 3 point god.
yeah. So, but I mean, you're super invested in Warriors basketball because of him, and you just have this like affinity and love for him for I don't God knows why. Uh,
That's true. What do you mean? God knows why? Your
you
Instagram bio was Curry something 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 too.
Yeah, no, I like Curry. I just I don't like Steph is like at the level that you do. Like you like praise him like he's your idol.
Yeah,
Like the way
yeah.
mom prays to Shiva, you pray to Steph. Like
Dude, he said the moon landing is fake. It's fake, dude.
that was a thing. My brother was like, "Oh yeah, moon landings are fake." Steph said it on a podcast. It has to be
He said
true.
it. It's gospel.
Yeah, he is Christian by the way, so that's a good pun. But yeah, I would say I'm a
Yeah.
bigger Niner fan than you are.
Um, I think you show it more outwardly. I love it. I think football is definitely one of those sports where it's like there's nothing like it. 16 games, playoffs, like it's when it's like season, like when it's like those Sundays within those 16 weeks, it's like nothing else like it. So I don't know. I think you are a very big Niners fan, but I don't know. I think you show it in different ways. I think I'm also a big Niners fan. I won't say you're bigger than me though.
Jimmy. It's because of Jimmy. That's why.
Yeah, I mean I don't like Jimmy, but yeah. So there you go.
No, I mean I like see I have a complicated relate. I'm gonna be sad when he leaves, but also like I think he needs to leave. But that's besides the point. Um, yeah, I need to sell my jersey soon. Uh,
Yeah, seriously.
okay. Next question: who is more competitive between the both of us?
Mm, more competitive. That's a good one. Um, I think when it comes to like sports and things, I mean, we've never like competed like super hardcore in like sports or things like that. Um, because I don't know, like we've always been like, I mean, obviously 6.5 years apart, and like we've never been like like at a level where you could like play against each other, I guess. But I guess with like board games and like video games and things like that, we both get super competitive. Um, and I think you definitely get more competitive with like school stuff and like just like overall life stuff versus like actual like individual like events, if that makes sense.
Hmm. I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
it's more of a long-term competitiveness with you.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know. I'd say I don't know. When it comes to video games, I think we're both equally just like extremely competitive. Um, because we will play like until one of us wins. That's just like the type of thing we do.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I remember
I
when
play one more game. Yeah.
during quarantine we would play like 8, 9 games of Madden a day just because I would keep crushing you. And then you would like
Dude,
train
are
in
you
the night.
kidding me?
He would train in the night, guys. He would train in the night against like the
uh
CPU players, so he could come back the next day and try and beat me. But I would still find a way to win because I'm that good at Madden. So don't mess with my Madden ability. I've given the best teams too. He'd get like 2019 Super Bowl San Francisco 49ers, and I would be the freaking 2019 Cincinnati Bengals. I'd still beat him.
okay, you know what? Since it's your podcast and you're like doing this great thing, I'll let you run with one false narrative. So
That's
I'll
not
let you
a
have that
false
one.
narrative. What
I'll let
happened?
you
What's
have
the
that
okay?
one.
Say the true narrative.
We're definitely like okay, in the beginning I think you did beat me more. I'll give you that. But as time went on, I definitely got better, and especially when I was playing with the Ravens, you could never beat me with Lamar.
Yeah, because you would
Jackson,
just
so.
freaking run. His speed is fucking like unbeatable. What am I?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Man.
and with Kyler, they just give him like the ultra boost, and he just skirt past all the defensive ends. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Even if I have fucking Nick Bosa, Kyler will just run over him.
I just need like Amigos ad lib throughout us playing Madden. Whenever I had like a QB draw play, skirt, skirt. Yeah, good times, good times.
Anyway, who has? This is a very important question, particularly in the area where we come from. So we're about to expose ourselves. Who has the higher GPA?
Oh, you. I fucking sucked at school. Oh, sorry. Can I cuss? I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
yeah, no, you were definitely better at school than me for sure. I was trash.
No, I think high school, but like I don't know about college.
I had a worse GPA in college.
Than in
shit
high
was hard.
school?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was close. It was close. It was pretty equally as bad.
It wasn't like my high school GPA was super high though.
It was hovering somewhere between like a 3.0 plus or minus 0.1, some shit like that. It was not great. It was
my
not
high
great.
school. What was my high school was like 3.6 or 7, something like that.
Yeah, see, like that's I could not even dream of doing some shit like that.
Yeah, my college was like a 3.5 right now. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
How that turns out. I also like didn't get grades my first year, so that also helped. But
yeah. Redlands. Yeah, but
hey, don't insult it too hard. There's people that from Redlands that listen to this. So.
No, I just said Redland. I was just stating a fact. I did not insult or heap praise upon.
Okay.
Just remaining indifferent.
Okay.
No, but I think especially with masters, doing that shit online was that was way easier than actual school.
He's
and
the
I think
only
maybe
rapper
you can
with a master's degree.
Yeah, facts. Well, I actually don't know that. Never mind. It may not be facts, but
who has
I don't
a
know.
master's?
I don't know. I haven't done my research, so I can't say for
sure. What, Pop Smoke
really...
got a master's degree?
Hey man, maybe.
Maybe
you went to SUNY, you know, like you have no idea. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
R.I.P. But you know.
Yeah.
Cool. And last question. I know you take serious pride in this. So who can hold their liquor better?
I think me when it gets to it, like I think me. I don't think you like being very drunk. Like you don't like the sensation, and when you get to a certain level, you hella complain. You're like, I don't like this. This is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, it's like weird. I don't like being out of control because I'm afraid I'm gonna like get canceled or some shit.
Yeah, so that's another. You keep saying that after you.
I keep saying I'm gonna get canceled.
Yeah, you do. The 2 times I've drank with you, that's like the one like fear that you keep like articulating that you have.
I don't know why I have this fear. I guess my public platform is just growing exponentially. I can't have people
so fast, things. Right? The reach, the bandwidth.
Yeah, I guess. You know, I got fans in Texas, you know, got some listens in India, Canada, Thailand. Shout out to all of you guys. Thailand, can you believe that?
That's pretty crazy, yeah. Shout out Thailand.
Yeah. Australia too. That's cool.
Down under.
Yeah, but
let's just edit that part out.
No, I'm keeping that in. I'm gonna make that a sound bite. Are you kidding me? Hell yeah.
God.
You're just giving me content. Keep Well, that's it for the rapid fire intro. I guess you did well.
Nice. Okay. That was fun.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But let's get into the rap while you're here, to the rapping stuff. Give me your honest Rushmore of rap if you had one. If you have a rapping Rushmore, what would it be?
Oh, that's tough, man. So I think you can approach that in a couple ways. So it's like I guess like overall like best public consensus of that, or like my own like personal, I guess. But I mean, either way, it's like it's tough. So I guess I'll give my personal one. I'll do the best. I don't know. I may be leaving some people out that I absolutely love, but definitely Eminem, um, J. Cole, Tupac. Uh, God, this is hard, man. Um, I'm just gonna go with Kendrick because I'm not like an avid consumer of his, but I really respect and like can appreciate the art form behind his music. So that's
Wow.
he's I mean I love I've listened to Pimp a Butterfly maybe like two times, three times over, something like that. Just because like it's not some like album that you can like just cut on a song, in my opinion. So in that way, I can like really appreciate like the work of art. Like how many times you look at a Mona Lisa a day? Like it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like he's created like this like full body of art, and you need to like be in a certain headspace and have a certain energy to like approach that and like consume it. So, and I can appreciate that because it's like I don't think anyone has come close to doing what he did there, or like on Good Kid or whatever, right? So, yeah,
What? There's 4 faces on Rushmore. I thought it was 5.
I think there's four. See, this is why I had a 2 point whatever
Okay.
in
All right.
college.
Cool.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know.
pretty
I
sure there's
think I
four.
don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know. I was
What's
surprised
yours?
you didn't include one particular person.
Logic?
Aubrey, Drake
Oh,
Graham,
oh yeah. Oh shit, yeah. How did I forget that? Actually, yeah. I might
certified
replace.
lover boy.
Yeah, I might replace. Yeah, what the? That's yeah, that's crazy. You need to revoke my brown fuckboy card. Um,
Wow, boo.
yeah,
We're revoking.
I may have to replace after my long soliloquy about Kendrick. I may have to replace him with the boy, even
I
though
think
he's in your background too. How did I not catch on?
people are going to really be upset with that one.
Probably.
Yeah, they're gonna be like,
That's an
"Ew,
unpopular
who is
one.
this guy?"
Yeah, hella basic.
Yeah.
But I do not like. I don't. I put him there because my favorite Drake songs. They're not like the like God's Plan or shit like that.
You should be like, my favorite Drake song ever is "Look Alive," dude.
Look Alive. That shit bangs, but it's not my favorite. Um, no, so I put him there for other reasons and albums. So yeah, personally,
Okay.
but this is personal. Everybody, my opinion. Obviously, it's subject to everybody's opinion. So yeah,
Yeah. Interesting. That's fair.
yeah.
Um.
What about
So
yours?
my Rushmore. Oh man.
Yeah,
Jack Harlow, Polo G, definitely top
fire.
2. No. I don't know. I have to think. Probably Drake is on there. J. Cole. Um, Eminem. And who else? I'd probably put like Kanye or Jay Z as the 4th.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
mean it's
probably my
hard.
4th.
Like I love Jay-Z, Kanye, but like it's just like what is your definition of a rapper too? It's like, Kanye is like he doesn't like deem himself to be like, like a traditional like, oh, I write all my raps type rapper, like, known to be like a producer, like just overall like maker of songs, I guess.
Yeah.
So
You think
it's
Kanye
like
is the
hard.
best producer all time?
Oh, dude, that's another story. No, I don't think so.
I've heard people be like, Kanye's a go producer, dude.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I
I think it's Dr. Dre.
I mean, yeah, it's tough, man. He's up there. I mean, it's tough. Like there's people from like this, 70s and 80s that like built the framework of like modern music that, can do you want to give them the credit of that, or like do you want to give like the credit to like the modern day people for like building upon that and like pushing it forward? So it's like again, it's like tough. Like there's so many different like ways you can approach it. So I don't know. I'm hesitant to always like give rankings and things like that.
That's fair. Um, so take me back to 1145 Hollyhead Lane. When that's actually reference to the new album. We'll talk about that a little later. Um, what was what got you into rap? What was the first kind of like, oh shit, this is cool moment, and like got you set down this path?
Um, so the first, so I guess I'll start with like the first time when I got into actually like listening, because making it was like farther down the line. Um, but I've told you this story, but like we were at a Jay and Akash's house, shout out to them, for like a family party, and it was like I think I was in like sixth, seventh grade, um, and this I don't know, it was just like this I walked into the room and this like song was just like go shorty it's your birthday. I was like what the hell is this? And I like the chorus went through and like the verse came on. I'm like damn dude, like I couldn't help but just like bop my head to it. It was just like this energy and like what is this guy saying? Like this is crazy, like he just sounds so dope on this. So obviously like that was like In the Club by 50 Cent, and that was like the first rap song I ever heard in like my recollection, like actually like actively consuming. So that was like kind of my introduction to it, and from there I just like kind of took it head on and just did my own homework, like got into like all these different types of artists, Eminem being the main one, especially growing up. He was like by far like one of my biggest like go-tos. um and then obviously like exploring more 50 Cent's catalog, and I my one of my favorite albums to date is Get Rich or Die Trying. So yeah, just from there like just that was like fifth, sixth grade, and like from then it just like the rest was kind of history. And then like fast forward to like college and like graduating, and like obviously by then like the repertoire kind of like expanded a bit. But up to that point it never occurred to me that I should like actually like make music, which was like now in hindsight was like a weird thought. um it was just like just being completely like fascinated and like in awe of like this art form. And then after like graduation it was kind of like why don't I like try this, like it's like sounds so like like I mean it could be so dope, like potentially like like just writing stuff and like recording to some beats, like like why not give it a shot? I mean I spent so much of my time like finding like I guess like a place of just like salvation almost in the music, that I'm like, why don't I like try doing it on my own? So yeah, then it like kind of went from there. Filled up like a couple notebooks with like trash ass rhymes. Did like the put up the reps in the gym kind of thing. Missed all the free throws, but got better and better. And yeah, fast forward like I think it's been around like 4 years now since I like actually like started. And yeah, here we are putting out an album in a couple days, which is pretty exciting.
Woo! Yeah, well,
Yeah.
actually, the album this is gonna release on Friday, so the album will already be out.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, hello to the future. Um, but so, so like, how did you like? You kind of answered it earlier with like the whole thing of like you went from kind of listening to rap to being the rapper. Like, how did the actual like process begin? Was it just like one day you were like, all right, I'm gonna write some like simpy ass rhymes, and then just like went at it, or like was it like more methodical?
Actually, my I think the first like bar that I ever wrote was something to do with like sipping on gin and like just like feeling like some type of way or some shit. I was just like looking back, it was like the most trash shit. So it wasn't like something simpy. That came down the line. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It I didn't have like a oh shit moment, I guess, that I can like remember. Um, it was just kind of like it was just in the back of my mind for a while, and then I kind of like I think the first time I like wrote some shit down was like in the parking lot of my job, where I was like, fuck this, I don't want to go in, like I'm sick of this shit kind of thing. And I just like wrote some shit down, and like it felt good, like to kind of like get some shit off my chest kind of thing. I'm like, oh, that was cool. And that kind of like became a thing for me, like during lunch breaks and shit. I'd go to my car and like write some shit in my phone, like listen to some beats on my like uh on the stereo, and just kind of like write to it. So that's kind of like how it like started, um like as a process, and like as something that like I found as an outlet. I never like rapped like those rhymes out loud, but it was just something that I would like write down, almost like a diary, I guess. And the whole recording thing came, maybe like 6 7 months later, when I felt like a little more comfortable, and I was like, okay, like should I try this, blah blah blah. So that's where all that came to be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, that's weird. That's compared to my podcast process where I was on Amazon one day and I saw a microphone and I was like, oh, this looks sick. And I just bought it. So, yeah, that's very
Yeah, I
different.
mean, it's probably like, again, it was probably in the back of your mind, right? Like just thinking about it,
Oh,
and
may-
just potential ways to like, go about it and express yourself, kind of thing.
yeah, I guess so. Uh,
Yeah.
but why rap? Why not like rock music? Why don't you want to be like Green Day? Why rap?
Um, I don't know, like I guess like if I grew up in like Nashville or some shit, and like just got exposed to like Garth Brooks from like day one, like who knows? Like I
Brown
don't know.
country, CoMo country. Let's go.
I don't know, man.
Dude,
Like,
I would love that. The
yeah,
brown country singer, you know the amount of like affirmative action headlines you'd put on? Like that would be incredible.
I could do a collab with Lil Nas X.
Be fantastic. I'd love it.
um, I don't know. Yeah, so I guess it's just a matter of like exposure, like because this, like as you know, like we came from India at that point, um, and like I started at the new school, and like it was just kind of like at that point in life, it was just like moving around from place to place. Like in elementary school, I went to like 6 different schools, and like went to India, then came back. So like I never had like a, I guess like a base almost of like, this is like, these are my friends. This is like the type of stuff I like. This is the type of stuff I don't like. I guess I didn't have enough time to like form, all of those things as a kid. So the first like base that we had was like, our first house when we came back from India, and like going to school for like a prolonged amount of time in one place. And that's where like it first started, right? Like just I referenced like the Jay and Akash story, listening to 50 Cent for the first time, and like those are what that's what my friends were listening to. Like that was like the cool shit to listen to, like Kanye's Graduation came out, like like they were listening to 50, Eminem, like Dr. Dre, and I was like, that was like what everyone was talking about at school. Like that's what like the kids were talking about. um so it just became like a thing of like, oh shit, this is the cool thing to consume. And like luckily, like I just loved it on top of that. So I just kind of ran with it, and I just delving more into it, like and like more avidly consuming it down the line, I saw that it was just like one of the most like um just almost personable art forms that I had encountered, where you can like almost feel like you're sitting in a room with an artist, and like understand like the type of emotions they're going through, what they're feeling, like how they're feeling, because it's just literally like at times literally like a drum break, a piano sample, and like them like talking, um and it was just like very raw, unfiltered. And that's the type of like rap and that I just completely gravitated towards, because I felt like there was like so many different stories and so many different points of view that you could get, just by like literally like listening, and it was like so like I said, it was just like fascinating to me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So fast forward a little bit. You went to Monte Vista High School. Shout out Cupertino. And obviously these high schools do tend to have this narrative of being competitive and being STEM heavy and focused. Uh, but do you think that these kind of schools like inhibit your creativity or inhibit kids' creativity in creating stuff, or do they encourage it?
That's a good question. Um, I think they the talk amongst like your peers is mostly like like the the classic like grades and what APs are you taking and shit like that. So by like default, I guess like the culture feeds into a more competitive environment with that type of thing. And like if you don't have above like a 3.7, like your life is over. Um, but I I don't know, like I mean I guess like the school doesn't do much to like change that, and you kind of have to, it's on you to like kind of like break out of that and find your own way. And that's kind of why I was really happy in school that I was able to do like band. Like that was one of the like really like dope creative outlets that like in hindsight I look back, I'm like wow, I'm really glad that like I could make use of that. And obviously there's like drama club and like just other places that like kids can like go express themselves, but again it wasn't like, yeah, I guess to your question, not really like like hammered in by the school saying like, oh, this would be like really important for like students to get involved with, or just like experience, I guess. So um yeah, I mean I think, and it's also like it just feeds in from I guess the parents and then with the students, and then by default that becomes kind of the culture.
Yeah, that's funny you say band because Brian did the same thing. We had Kid Kuzan for episode
Oh yeah,
12,
shout
I
out to
think.
him.
And he was also big jazz band guy in high school. Played saxophone. I don't know which one, but both you guys
I
played
think he said
saxophone.
saxophone, yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
remember I listened to that, yeah.
so look at that. You have two saxophone players from Monte Vista High School now making it in the rap industry. I mean, guys, if you want to be a rapper, I guess play the saxophone.
Play the
Um,
sax, yeah. You
but
did too, but you didn't become one. You became a podcaster. Look at that.
yeah, I quit the saxophone after 6 months. Okay. It was hard. I also hated, I told him like the reeds and shit, that was disgusting. Like it was like you had to like bite down on the mouthpiece. It's uncomfortable. Um,
You gotta watch that shit like every week,
I
bro.
also didn't wash it. I was in
Yeah,
fifth
there you
grade
go.
at the time. So, uh, don't start music early, kids. Or if you do, have passion for it. Uh, Navraj Goria. Do you think that Nav does a good job in holding it down for the Brown boys? What's the verdict, in your opinion, with Navraj? What do you think?
I
How do
think
you feel
it's
about Nav?
I think it's dope that there's a brown person doing what he's doing in hip hop, right? I mean, like, who am I to say that it's like, like right or wrong, whatever he's doing. But I think it's cool, and nonetheless. Do I listen to his music? No, but do I support him? Yeah. Like he, good for him. Like he has a fan base obviously that like supports him and loves him. So good for him.
Ballin' like I'm in the NBA. That's a great
Yeah, there
song.
you go.
It's a great song. Um, but okay, I mean, you obviously said that you respect Nav and like you respect the idea of Nav, maybe not the execution. But you do love Drake. So my question to you is why are brown boys? Why does every man named Nikhil or Kush love Drake? Please
Uh,
explain.
that's a good question. Um, I think like I think it really started with just like his like whole Marvin's Room thing, right? I think that's where the whole narrative started with like just like simpy guys, and that just kind of like got translated over to like brown dudes, because like I guess deep down like the stereotype is that like all simpy like watch Bollywood like mama's boys type shit. um so, and I think like I guess like people just ran with it from there, and he also just says like the most catchy shit that like you can say on a song, and it just like sticks. And especially like growing up in the suburbs, like that's like the cool shit to kind of say and like talk about and listen to. And people just gravitate towards it. So, and I guess like more so brown boys to that extent. But
Dude,
I feel like it's everybody. It's not just brown boys, like it's literally
but
everybody.
I don't know, man. Like I see like the ratios of Drake, like it's pretty brown heavy. Like around here in particular, like
Because we live in like a predominantly brown like area, which is like,
Asian
like
too.
I mean, yes, Asian too, yeah. I mean, yeah, overall Asian community, but yeah, I think it's just like a matter of like our environment. Like I feel like if you
Maybe.
went to like, yeah, I feel like if you went to like, like a New York or like a New Orleans or some shit, like if you found like the hip hop community there, it's gonna be like people also listening to Drake, but it's just like,
Yeah.
different types of people.
I have a
Yeah.
theory that why brown boys listen to Drake is because Drake is
Okay.
from Toronto. Those of you that don't know, there's a suburb outside of Toronto called Brampton. And Brampton is like one of the biggest brown suburbs in the world. And Drake didn't grow up too far from Brampton. And when he was first coming up, I presume he was big on the Toronto hip hop scene. And so these Brampton Brown boys picked up Drake real quick. And so it's transferred to everybody.
Probably, maybe.
That's my
I
theory.
could see that.
Um,
At
uh,
least for my like the commercial perspective, I think it's like the whole Marvin's Room thing, like the whole like simpy like brown boy thing.
that's fair. Yeah. Never really thought of it through that lens, but yeah. Um, so obviously, like you've been making music kind of you were making music casually because you were working and stuff. But like, when was the moment where you decided, like, all right, I'm gonna be the next Cole. Like, I'm gonna just go and make music, like, full send.
Um, I don't know. I think maybe like 3 years ago or something like that. Like yeah, like I guess like the first year is more like experimental of like what is this like what is my like place in this space and like what do I want out of it. So like kind of answering those questions for myself and thinking about it and then um doing so, like I think for the past 3 years I've taken it very seriously. um and just been trying to learn as much as I can about the business, about like making music, about making better music, and just kind of like being able to like use all of those facets to potentially like make it a career one day. um so yeah, I mean like that's kind of what I've been working towards for a couple years now, just trying to put in place like a some sort of a semblance of a plan, even though it's like hard to put in a plan for these types of things, but I guess like a vision to execute to like monetize to a certain extent, so I can like make a living off of it, which is like the dream.
Yeah. Um, that's yeah. I guess like living, like making a living off of your music or art is like the dream for everyone that goes into this.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but like, how do you get your inspiration? Like, talk about where that comes from. Like, where do you get that inspiration lyrically, for your songs, your music? Like, where does the vision come from?
Good question. I think so. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, but I think a lot of times inspiration is very overrated. Um, just because I think like when people think about like an artist and like kind of like the creative process and what they do, I think it's just a matter of like, oh, like you have to have like that moment of inspiration to like sit down and like just like do your art. But like 90% of the time that moment of inspiration isn't there, and like what are you going to do? You just like wait for it, or like you're just like not going to work till it happens. Like it just it's one of those things where it's like, even I've come to realize like even if I don't feel inspired, sometimes like it's just a matter of like sitting down and like just treating it like like any other skill that you need to like get better at, right? Like whether it be like sitting down, even if I don't feel like it at times, but like setting aside the time to like write or mix or just get better at what I set my mind out to get better at for that half an hour, whatever it is. um so I think like definitely allotted periods of time are key for me, in terms of like the whole process. But obviously like those moments of inspiration come, and when then it's like fantastic and you feel like like this whole like untapped like vat of like energy that you can like put into it, and it's like it feels amazing. And like some of my best stuff has definitely come from those moments, like just like writing wise. um and but like I said, like I think a lot of times like for me it's just a matter of like sitting down and writing. And even if I don't feel like it, maybe 20 minutes in, like I'll really like start to get into it because I like where I'm going with like a certain like idea that I have with a song, and I'll like start to get into it. So it's just a matter of like almost coaxing yourself into it and like setting aside the time, like any job or like any like skill that you want to get better at.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I feel
Yeah,
that way. It's like about getting reps mostly in terms of like
exactly.
trying to
Yeah.
figure out. But like how? Sorry, I've totally lost my train of thought. But do you like have you seen like improvement within your rapping like since you first put out your first song ever versus like now like putting out an album? Like
Oh,
where have you
yeah.
seen the progress?
Uh, Honestly, everywhere. Like it's. I don't think it's comparable. In my opinion, it's like night and day. I definitely think I've gotten better. Just overall sound wise, like writing wise, like rapping wise, like I guess everything. But again, that's just like literally like coming from my first song to now. Like yeah, like you're only gonna get better if you like put in the work, you know. So and I think that's with like anybody. It's not just me. Um, but yeah, I definitely think I've come a long way, and it's almost like cringeworthy when I like look back at some of those early songs. I'm like, how did I think that this was okay to put out? Like, this is not okay. But I guess that's just like the whole thing of growing, right? You look back and you're like, wow, like look how far I've come. So it kind of like reinforces the idea of like, like you getting better as well as you can only get better, and like that that's what like time and work and energy like gives you. So
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, like, please don't go watch my first podcast, guys. It's really garbage. Sorry, Nihar. But
you're gonna say that again at episode 40 about this episode, so
no, no, it's nepotism. You gotta protect the
it's
nepotism.
nepotism.
Gotta protect the family name.
Yeah.
But so like obviously when you rap, like you have definitely a lot of different moods you like to go for, right? You have songs like the 101 where you're like,
Yeah.
grooving and rapping, and you have songs like hoping and praying where you're like kind of lower in terms of your vibe and you're more
Hmm.
reflecting on life. So like talk about kind of like how you're able to switch moods and wavelengths really quickly.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a lot to do with like the actual like beat itself. So usually like I don't like produce many of my things. Like I'll add like certain aspects to instrumental or like a beat, but like I'll normally get like beats from producers, um, and kind of like just arrange the song on my own. But yeah, I think it's really like beat dependent, like on what the vibe is, like what kind of like I'm feeling from that, like the energy that I get from it, and sometimes like it's literally just a matter of like me listening to something and like writing something out and seeing what comes out. Like I think the key is just to not think about a lot of these things, like a lot of like you're not the first person to ask that, where it's like like how do you like write about these different topics. And I think like like as humans, like all of us are super multifaceted, and it's just a matter of like figuring out ways to, and not or understanding ways to see what different types of environments and just different stimuluses like unlock those different parts of us. So I think for me, like thankfully it's like, music and like just hearing different sounds and like different vibes and like different tones that unlock like different parts of like how I'm feeling or like, what I want to write. And that just like comes like, like naturally just listening to those types of moods. So um it's not like any like, like secret where it's like, one day I'm gonna like, or I have like a predetermined like mood that I want to write for like in a day. It'll definitely be like very like dependent on like what I hear and like what I'm experiencing, and like I don't try to force it, like, oh, I need to write like five sentimental songs today. Like it doesn't, like that's not gonna work, and like that's not gonna like come out in the way that you want it at the end of the day. So you definitely need to like let your feelings and your energy like kind of guide that. And I feel like, just being in different situations will help you with that too.
That's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that. Do you so you let's fast. It's actually been a year since quarantine started. Can you believe that? It's already been
Yeah.
a year. So you were actually one of the few people that I can really say took quarantine very, very seriously and like actually like made a lot of content while the rest of us were just binge watching All American and doing Tootsie Slide TikTok dances. Uh, I know this because I am the one that did record all those videos on your Instagram. So those of
Yes,
you who
you
are
did.
wondering about the beautiful videography, it's me. Uh,
Yeah,
coming out to you
fantastic. You
guys.
should put that in your LinkedIn.
Yeah, I know. I did already. Haha. I'm actually banned off LinkedIn, but that's another story.
What?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Oh my
So
God.
what did quarantine do for you and your career? Like, how did it benefit you?
Um, I so I guess like in the beginning, like a lot of people, it was just a matter of not really or understanding, but not really understanding the situation that we're in. Like kind of like coming to grips with it, but like also trying to figure out like what to do, like how to adapt to this like new lifestyle. And it was really weird, like at first, but I think after like a couple weeks or so, I was just like looking at some like stuff on like social media and just like people that some like I guess like influencer people I follow, and it was kind of seeing like this reoccurring message of like like if you can come out of quarantine and like this like situation with like a new skill or like honing in like your skill that you decided to get better at, then that's a win. And like this, like we have to think of it as like a different type of scenario that we've almost been awarded, because if you think about it negatively, it's like it's hard to get yourself out of that and like mentally get yourself out of that rut. And that's not to say that that doesn't happen, because I definitely felt it like mentally a lot throughout quarantine. You definitely go through like lapses of it, but I think the overall thing was just like trying to like have that resounding message within myself of like I just need to get better and like need to use this time, because like this is just such a unique period of time that it's probably never going to happen again. And like just like having this so much more free time to like get better and like understand like your art and like your craft and what you want to do. So I definitely I did my best to try to utilize that. And not to say I didn't have like my 5 hour periods of like Netflix binging or just like slacking off. Like that definitely happened, but you just have to like I just tried to like remain productive with that message in my mind.
And he did go ahead and release two projects during quarantine: Quarantine and Chill and Quarantine and Rage, all available on Spotify. You should go check that out if you haven't already.
Plug.
So those are two EPs that he released during quarantine. Talk about kind of the goals you had with these two like sister projects, so to speak.
Yeah. Um, I guess the first one was I was just kind of thinking of, or I don't know, like I guess I was in like a simpy mood for the first one, as you'd like to reference. Um, and it was just a matter of like, like what is, can I like encapsulate a vibe of like just what it feels like to be in this kind of new normal, and also just kind of like hang out with that like significant other or like love interest, and like just like how do I encapsulate that feeling within this moment of time. So I tried to do that with those three songs on Quarantine and Chill. So that was a lot of fun to make. And with Quarantine and Rage, it was more so like summer was starting to kick off, and it was like obviously like the lead up to summer is like in my opinion always the most fun, because it's like everyone's talking about their plans and like what like they're gonna do in the summer, and like just like it's a fun period of time. So I was kind of in that mood, but obviously like very dampered down because it's like quarantine and everything, right? But I was like, you know what, like fuck it, like I could still make some music to kind of like encapsulate like a quarantine, but like, like still like, having fun and partying with like whoever you're quarantining with, or your bubble or whatever. um so that's kind of what I had in mind, and that I kind of took that energy and like made those 6 songs on that project. So um yeah, that's kind of what I was feeling for both of those.
Yeah. So basically, Quarantine and Chill is about Sejal. That's essentially what you're trying to say.
As
But
she would like to say, yeah.
yeah,
She's always my muse. Yeah.
yeah. Shout out Sejal.
Yeah.
Quarantine and Chill is about you. We just learned that right now. So, um, but what's like? We'll talk about the album a little bit. Like I feel like what's strange about me hearing this album for the first time is like I feel like I've heard all of the songs because
Yeah.
you would record it when I would be trying to sleep at 12:30 in the night and I'd hear these stupid beats and like now they're coming back to me like PTSD and it's like
Yeah.
oh shit like what I've heard this before and so it was a truly painful time
For the
but
making, like behind the scenes, I should have just shot you like sleeping in your bed.
it's dude, that's literally what it is. Like, so our rooms don't share a wall. That's the worst part. And so I can hear everything coming from his room. He can hear everything coming from my room. And so literally it would be like 1 a.m. and I'd hear like, yeah, hey, no, 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 no. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to freaking sleep. Like this is
At
disgusting.
least give me a little more credit with my bars. And yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was also half asleep, so you can't blame me. I can't recite your bars. Um, but yeah, so let's talk about this album a little bit. What were the goals that you had for this upcoming or for this album, Going Nowhere Fast? What were some of the themes you were trying to get out of it?
um, when when I first started making like some of the songs that were part of the project, I didn't think I was making an album or anything. It was just more so like making songs, like I normally do. Um, and yeah, I just kept going along that path, and then I don't know, I just started thinking about it, and I just had like a bunch of songs in the hard drive that I was like pretty proud of, and I'm like, okay, and they kind of had like a flow and a texture to them that I was like, this could be like something that I could like package together. um and I think it more so like in my mind like materialized after the fact. It wasn't like per se making it for like a album. Um, so and it just kind of worked out like that, and I was like happy with like kind of the direction of it. Um, because like I'll obviously let people like listen to it, but like I think like it has like a flow of like just almost like different like moods that I was going through, and like it kind of flows in that manner, and also like a mood and like a timeline of like um my journey with hip hop almost. Um so yeah, I think yeah, I guess to answer your question, I never like set out to make an album, but I kind of did.
That's fair. I mean, I guess it like comes down to growth at the end of the day. That's what I felt like this album represented. Because like the first song is called "Take You Back." Also, those of you who are listening to this part of the podcast haven't listened to the album yet, go listen to the album first. Going Nowhere Fast, available on Spotify and all streaming platforms. But yeah, so like for the first song's called "Take You Back," and then that kind of talks about like your journey of like how you kind of like started listening to rap, so to speak. And then the last song is the Dapper Rapper, which is kind of like, I am my own rapper now and I am unique and all of these things. So it felt like a kind of full circle type moment
Yeah.
with those two songs. But you definitely did go. I noticed this was, as I like to say, a little bit more of a like sympathetic kind of personal
Oh, for
vibe.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
uh
Definitely.
less of that quarantine and rage energy, more so that quarantine and chill energy. um so you had a couple kind of personal songs on the album, obviously. I think My Diary and Spa Day being a couple of those. So
Yeah.
do you like the reflective stuff better? You like more of like the party songs, like the building content type vibe?
Um, that's so like the personal stuff is like the stuff that like when you're and I think you've alluded to this too at times when we've kind of talked about music, but like when you're like, going through something or feeling some type of way or like whatever, right? Like that outlet that you can like listen to, and like uh when you listen to like more personal like records, um that I guess that emotion that it evokes in you is like some like one of the strongest ones that you can have like when listening to like music as a listener, for me personally. So definitely like making those songs is like a whole other experience because you're on the other side of things. But I still feel like some of the similar things, but like because it's like just me personally like getting stuff out, right? Whereas like I'm consuming somebody else's message. Um, so I definitely love that, and that's kind of like one of the first reasons why I fell in love with hip hop. So I'll always like stay true to that, and like that's always going to be a part of me and like my like music making journey. But hell yeah, I love like making party records, and like when I'm feeling that type of way, like that energy is like super fun. And just like having something that like someone can like, just like, take shots with their friends too, or like just like, just have a good time with, like that's super fun and like super dope to, like try to make and like think about. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just like a mood thing, right? Like with anything in life, like it's just um feeling some type of way and like making the music that feels good in the moment.
No, I feel it. And I feel like this album definitely had like kind of a little bit of both, which was interesting because I thought it would either be one or the other, but it didn't feel like that way.
Yeah.
Uh, but like shadowboxing was definitely a song where I felt like you were kind of like fighting yourself is what it felt like. It
Yeah.
felt like it
Yeah.
was like two different sides of what you were talking about. And you kind of talk a little bit about the culture in shadowboxing, so that made me happy.
Mhm.
So talk about some of the messages you were trying to get out in that song.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a matter of like understanding the dichotomy that we have within ourselves a lot of times, and trying to figure out like it. I guess like throughout that song, it's a matter of like, just like a persona battling the other one. And I think like sometimes one wins, sometimes the other wins, and it's just a matter of like when is like kind of that battle gonna end. Um, and I don't have an answer to that, and like that's why I kind of leave it open ended. Because I don't think there is an answer to that, and I think everyone makes their own answer to that, right? Um, so yeah, and I guess like personally, some of the themes are like, just the expectations and like just the way that I guess like we're raised, and like how certain things are, uh how other people want certain things manifested in our lives, and how that as we grow up we kind of combat against that at times, and like try to find our own paths, especially like within a um like a within an Asian household. um it's and like it's not to say that like like our parents like pushed us in some type of way, like they're obviously like very supportive in their own manner and things like that, but like like overall society and like just extended family, whatever, right? Like you feel different types of pressure at different times in your life, and um that's for me personally, that was kind of like the journey and like just the things that I touched upon within the song. um and that I felt like throughout different points in my growing up and throughout my life.
Yeah. So I mean, in relation to those themes, like you talk a little bit about like how growing up where we did, like it's not kind of like you feel the pressure from society, you feel the pressure from friends, whatever. But like
Yeah.
obviously, growing up in Cupertino as you did and as I did, like rapper isn't necessarily top of the career charts.
It's
But
not on
like
the career chart.
yeah, it's like, that's like if everything goes wrong, if you're homeless, you can rap. But like what is the support or the lack of support from the community, from your parents, our parents, Jesus, this is weird. Been like?
So you're talking about support, you said?
Yes. Yeah, I'm talking about support.
I think honestly, like, um, it was just met with like a lot of confused, like I guess uh, a bewilderment almost at first. Just the path that I like wanted to take or like chose to take and started articulating it as I was like finding it out myself. But after some time, obviously, like, our parents are like if they see like one of us kind of like gravitate towards like a certain path and they see that like there's a passion there and there's like some uh strong suit there, then they will definitely support it. But obviously, like, with it's with its limitations in terms of like they want like you to have a plan and like want you to understand what you're getting into and like also like grow with that experience and fend for yourself. So like it's like a whole different like balance of like um like how much support do we give in one facet versus the other as parents. And I it's not an easy job. Like there's like as a parent, like you have to kind of balance those things and like figure out when to give what to your kids, right? So I think it's like always like a gonna be like a dichotomy with that. So it's just a matter of like going through that journey with them. And I think that's with like any parent. And I guess like support like from outside of that, overall, I think like there's like support in terms of like, oh, that's dope. Like it's cool that you're doing this. Like awesome. Like with like people that you talk to. But the I guess it's like when I like talk to like people that like actually make music, it's just like a different conversation, right? Like it's hard to like talk to other people about like just like different things that you feel making music or like um just like the path that you've chosen and like things like that. It's like it's hard to relate to people who aren't necessarily in that space. So I guess that's like the main thing. And like obviously that's not like anybody's fault. It's like they're doing like their best and like they'll give you support in their own manner. But I guess like as someone who makes music or like as an artist, like you kind of try to gravitate towards people who are in the same space because that relatability is um I think a super important factor. And like it feels good at the end of the day.
For sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously those were like kind of the themes on shadowboxing. But like the last thing with this particular song is I had a question. So like, what is some advice that you would give to like brown kids who are kind of growing up in similar circumstances as we are, who are creative and have a passion, that have parents that are more on the traditional side versus supporting their creative ambitions? What would you say to them?
um I encourage anybody to explore their creative passions and think outside the box and do what's unconventional, because I think that's what makes the world grow, and I think that's what makes you individually grow as a person, obviously. And I think that without exploring that opportunity and giving it without giving it a chance, that at the end of the day, I always think about it as like, what are you gonna think about when you're like 80 years old, sitting on your rocking chair, looking back at your life, because that's all you have to look back upon at that moment. Like, what are you gonna feel like? What decision do you feel like you should have made or wanted to make but didn't? Like, you have to approach it with that ferocity and like almost like just just what's the word I'm looking for? Like impatience almost. Like and with that comes like having uncomfortable conversations and like having to articulate that to people that may not be as supportive in the beginning. And you kind of have to have like some tough discussions with about and I think that it's but at the end of the day, that makes you also grow as a person, because you have to force yourself to articulate yourself better and also like show what you mean better, and grow as a person as a result and become more patient, become just able to express that part of yourself like in a manner that like people can also understand. And I think overall it just all those experiences just shape you to be a more well-rounded human being. But obviously, like some battles are harder to fight than others, and like that's one of the hardest ones, especially like talking to a parent um about, like potentially like, going up the creative route, which was like a very taboo thing in I guess brown culture. But I do think I may be an optimist, but I do think things are changing a little bit, and I see like the tide shifting a little bit, especially with this new generation. Um, because I do see a lot more like kids just having different passions and exploring different opportunities, and I think that's fantastic because it also like within our society, like as brown people, opens up discussions like even more because we're like being let into like discussions and like avenues where like we didn't think was even possible before, and like now we're able to talk about those things because they're actually like happening and are realistic. And I think that tide is just going to keep on changing as we go. It's just, a matter of time.
Yeah, excited to see where that goes, and obviously like where things are going to shift because I think it's going to be very very interesting to see in the next 10 to 15 years who are the brown people that come up.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but yeah, I mean, back to the album. So I think you talk about themes on Spa Day in particular. I know this is a weird
Hmm.
transition, but Spa Day was definitely like a theme that you don't hear in rap very often, which is self care. So I said
Hmm.
in my notes, I was like, all the white girls finna bump to this. So like, um, but like Spa Day, talk about like self care and why that was you felt like that was something you needed to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, with that song, it was just I was trying to encapsulate like all just like the different types of responsibilities that like any of us have in our like day-to-day lives. Just thinking about like that meeting that you have to go to, or that presentation you have to give the next week, or like the whatever, like you have to pick up your kids, or like you have to whatever, right? Like just day-to-day stuff, and like that compounds to like week-to-week stuff, and it's just all that can get like you know so like you're just like lost in that directive of like you need to get all those things accomplished. But a lot of times, yeah, like a lot of with a lot of people experience, like they forget about themselves personally. And a lot of times, like as a me individually, like uh I struggled with the whole self-care thing, because I think at times it's almost like a waste of time, because I'm like I could be doing something like more productive and like more efficient, and use my time more efficiently to accomplish like other goals. But at the end of the day, it's like I have to like fight that battle with myself a lot of times, because it's like you have to like be the best version of yourself to accomplish those things more efficiently, and to get things done in the best manner. So it's just like a constant like balance that you have to achieve, um, to be like the best version of yourself and be like that high functioning person that you want to be. So yeah, I kind of like um, explore that a little bit on this song, just like that restlessness of everyday life, and like kind of also wanting to like get away from it at times and like just think about yourself.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just a very like unique theme that I feel like is starting to get touched on a little bit with like
Yeah.
culture, the mainstream culture, but I think you might have gotten on top of it, which is cool. Um, so talk a little bit about Bridge the Gap. Obviously, that title can probably tell you what the song is about. And I guess it can be taken in a variety of different contexts. So what were you going
Hmm.
for there?
um just that also honestly was spurred after the whole George Floyd incident. Um, just that just touching upon like the lack of understanding and lack of empathy that's almost present a lot of times when it comes to like understanding um, people's lives outside of like our own little like personal bubbles. There's so many different types of people going through so many different types of things and so many different scenarios. And who's to say like if one situation pushes another person into something else, like why is that good or bad? Like it's not a matter of classifying certain actions in my opinion. Obviously some actions are like, inexcusable in society and things like that, but like overall, like I think like 90% of the time it's a matter of like not not putting something in a category of good or bad, but like first understanding it, because I think from a place of understanding, we can really go a lot of places. So that's kind of what I wanted. That's what the theme of that song was like, and that's why I called it Bridge the Gap, because I'm, that bridge of understanding and lack of awareness and lack of self-awareness and overall awareness is, I think, what's missing a lot of times when it comes to like these conflicts in our society. Um, and That's, yeah, it definitely got spurred with the whole George Floyd thing, because I think with that especially, it was just such a like devastating act, and I think there's like so many polarizing things happening out of it. But I think like at the end of the day, it's like we have to like get down to the root of it and like first understand, and then we can spew our takes, our hot takes or whatever, but like first, like let's just put ourselves in somebody else's shoes and go from there.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment as to like what you were trying to do there. Um, but I feel like it's you were kind of going for a more like generational thing of like like some people like a lot of older people, at least from what I've encountered, tend to
Hmm.
be the ones who are kind of I don't want to say like not informed, because a lot of them are very smart, but like they're just kind of trying to figure out what this situation is, because it's the first time that something like George Floyd that happened was so like public and such
Hmm.
a phenomenon, that I feel like they were just trying to learn. And I feel like this younger generation, a lot of us are like, yeah, like we've grown up on this shit. Like we've seen Trayvon and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. Like this shit has been going on for years, and
Hmm.
it's like time to wake the fuck up type thing. So it's like interesting to see like both of those two kind of having to like clash together when the whole George Floyd thing did happen. It was interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Like and that's a good point as well. Like I think that's another uh gap that I guess needs to be bridged, right? Like the just different generations as well. Like not growing up in a different situation versus what we're growing up in now, and like trying to like like show that understanding of like something different is happening now, and like it's just a totally different world, and we need to be able to like have that relatability factor across all different demographics. um and try to like play from a level playing field so we can have like the honest and fair discussions.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to talk to you a little bit, and then we'll hopefully wrap this up soon. Hoping and praying. I know this was like kind of one of your lead off singles for
Hmm.
the album. And it felt like kind of like a throwback song that you were trying to hit. It was more of like a Drake and Mac Miller vibe, where you were kind of like reflecting on the past. Like, there's a line where it's like me and the boys rolling a blunt at Three Oaks.
Yeah.
Shout out Three Oaks Park. Uh, and So kind of talk about like what you were going for there.
Yeah, that was more of like a just kind of like reminiscing song. Just thinking about like what are like hopes and dreams and passions were as kids, and like how almost like beautifully naive we were, like just thinking about the world as like our nutshell almost, and like just being so like enthusiastic about it, and couldn't wait to like make our foot in the sand of like just our impact. And yeah, just like in I there was like moments within like those periods of growing up that I kind of like touched back upon and tried to encapsulate and like give life to, and just overall like give the message of like like the the chorus kind of like fast forwards that back into like like your life now, or like my life now, as like just writing the song. And it's thinking about those things and just thinking about like the future, and just a matter of like hope and praying that the shit's gonna be all right. Like, just trying to get through it and like trying to like see, um, just see what's like, I guess, beyond the horizon for like, what's next. I don't know. It is also like open to interpretation. That's why I like hesitate on giving like meanings to like the different songs, because like I like creating songs that are like almost open ended and like have a vibe that like people can like create their own world to. Um, so yeah, but at least for me, that's kind of like the sentiment that I was going after.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like that was definitely like I feel like that's definitely kind of like the sentiment that people would gather from that particular song.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, to transition to a completely weird thing. So obviously you put out a lot of music. Now it's been what 3 years since you started releasing music.
Hmm.
Is it weird like when you have like, and I know we've talked about this, when you have like an auntie who like listens to your like rap song and you're like talking shit, like rolling the blunt with the friends, yeah, like like it's like those things seem very counterintuitive, but yet they comment on Facebook like, "Oh my god, great job, Amogh," and it's like, it's kind of funny, but like, is it like kind of weird that you have to like, you have these like weird worlds colliding?
It's weird, but it's also cool. I mean, half the time I don't think they listen. I think it's just a matter of like, like throwing up the like and putting up the comment kind of thing. Um, but honestly, like, any support is great. Like, I'm super thankful and like humbled for it. And this is kind of what I told you too about the podcast, because you were like talking about like different, uncles and aunties saying different things, and saying like, oh, I listened to this episode and like great stuff, and like you're just dropping like hella f bombs and shit. So it's like, it's at the end of the day, it's like they're like humans and people too, and like they've like, I'm sure, gone through shit as kids, and like it's also like, a relatability factor of like them enjoying that content because it brings out a different side of themselves. And I think we forget to like understand that like aunties and uncles are also a little complex, like there's some different sides to them. So I think that it's really cool at the end of the day. I do.
Dude, I
It's
literally
dope.
have an episode where for like 20 minutes I talk about how the word auntie is the stupidest thing in the world. So like my God. I mean,
But I think people find that funny. It's like you stand up comedy for them almost.
yeah.
It's like breaking down the issue in like a comedic manner that like is like palatable and like people like laugh at.
Yeah.
So
I hope people are laughing, not like, offended. But we'll see. I mean, you're gonna offend some people. It's cool.
yeah, it's
Uh
fine.
but what was my last question? My last question. Yeah, actually. Um,
Oh,
I know, went by fast.
yeah.
Why is there no song about your absolutely lovely younger brother? And can you make me like an undisputed theme song, like Skip and Shannon have with Lil Wayne? Can I get a song?
Oh, all right. Okay. I like that. I forget my first contracting job.
I'm
I
not
can
gonna
work on
pay
something.
you. What? You think I'm gonna pay you?
Yeah. Or I get royalties from the podcast.
You think I have the
I gotta
money?
get some equity, baby.
You think I have the money? You think I have the money?
Creators gotta fight for what's theirs.
If you want to give me the money, guys, the listener support tab is in the link down below. So feel free to donate to me every month. For,
Yeah, support this man.
yeah.
He needs some new posters in the background. So
What's so wrong with these? Faithful then, faithful now? Yeah. Are you faithful? No. But
depends on the day.
but yeah, when are you making the Skip and Shannon theme song?
I don't know. I guess I could. I haven't thought about that. That's a good point. I'll get to working on that. I'll conjure up some ideas today and see what's up.
Okay. I'm excited. And
Yeah.
lastly, oh no, go for it.
No, I was gonna say, so yeah, maybe in a couple weeks we'll
Maybe.
have a new intro for the podcast.
That'd be exciting. But lastly, do you want to ask me anything? Because I know there's a couple people that love flipping the interview on me. So is there any questions, comments, things you want to expose about me to the world?
I don't know about expose anything, but no, I'm more so of a comment that I've been listening to your podcast and like everything that you're doing, and I just want to say very proud of you and all that you're trying to do and accomplish. Like all jokes aside, you're doing an amazing job, and I think this is like definitely one of your like biggest strong suits, and I can't wait to see where it takes you. So
Okay.
yeah,
Thank
not
you.
really a question. Yeah,
Yeah, there was no
but,
question there, but okay,
little
I'll
stroke
take
of
it.
the ego.
I'll take it, guys.
Little
You
stroke
know,
of the ego.
I
there,
am
so
the best. I am
yeah,
Joe
you are.
Rogan.
You're the underage
Um,
Rogan.
yeah, no, I'm a new Changavi. Thank you very much. Joe, I'm coming for you. But if
Yeah.
you guys did like this episode, feel free to leave a like down below in the description. Go check out my social media. I'm going to link 408 CoMo's social media down below, his link tree. So you can go check out his Twitter, where he posts weird stuff about hip hop that no one understands. And you can also
No one
check
gets
out
my references.
you can also check out his Instagram as well, where he posts all his music stuff and all the updates. Some cool shit goes down in those Instagram posts. Also, go ahead and feel free to check out the album Going Nowhere Fast, streaming now, actually, since this episode is coming out on Friday. The album should be streaming now on Spotify. Excited for you all to hear it. I'm sure CoMo would appreciate some of those streams, getting that royalty income. So go ahead and listen to the album. You can DM me your thoughts, or you can DM 408 CoMo on his Instagram, which will be linked down below as well. And if you guys like my podcast, which is a rarity, go ahead and follow me on Instagram at Essential Question Podcast. Go ahead and follow me at Twitter on at EssentialQU1. I don't really post on Twitter, but I'm going to start posting some of my Warrior and Niner hot takes. Should be fun.
Oh boy.
They're the best. Okay. Have you gotten retweeted by Grant Cohn? No. Have you gotten liked by Grant Cohn?
Nah, you're right. You're right. I haven't had him on
so-
a podcast either. So
Yeah, so
flex,
I mean,
flex
shout
on
out
him.
Grant.
Talk your
Shout out
shit.
Grant. I hope you're listening to this, Grant. I love you. And yeah, so if you guys like the stuff, go hit the links down below, interact with them whatsoever. Amogh, do you have any final words for the podcasters, listeners?
Nothing. Go listen to this man's podcast every week. I think he drops. So do that and listen to the album. And this was fun. This was super dope.
Okay.
First
perfect.
family member on here, baby.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah. We're going to have a lot more family members coming up. So if you guys like seeing my family and, my family members and extended family on the podcast, let me know and we will make shit happen. So thank you for coming on.
So again, guys, I hope you really enjoyed that interview with my brother, and now all you brown and, well, just general people have another artist that you guys can listen to. My brother and I honestly don't really talk to each other about our creative pursuits, for that matter, so this was pretty cool that we got to have that conversation, since most of the time we're talking about Steph and the Warriors or the Niners. So we got to have a conversation that was kind of out of the norm, so that was really cool, and you guys got to hear it. If you guys like the episode, go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. We're trying to grow the community, as you can tell, and the subscribers have been going up like crazy recently, so thank you if you are a recent subscriber. If you're on Spotify, go ahead and hit the follow button as well. We want to make sure that we're growing the family on all platforms. If you guys want to go ahead and check out Amogh and what he's been up to with his career that's taking off, go ahead and check out his links down below. I believe he has linked his Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, all the basic social media places. So go ahead and follow him on socials and stream his new album Going Nowhere Fast, as well as his other projects that were referenced in this. All of those are on Spotify and other streaming platforms. If you guys like the podcast, go ahead and hit me with the follow on Instagram at Essential Question Podcast and on Twitter at EssentialQU1. Both of those are going to be linked down below. Come join the fam. Get updated on when content's dropping. I'm pretty cool, so go ahead and follow me. Again, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for next week. It's going to be a really special episode. Not really an episode, but you'll kind of see. I'll be promoting it throughout the week. So it should be a really exciting one. But till then, I will talk to you guys soon. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Peace. Have an amazing one. And yeah, take care.